studios. This is After 9 with Scott and Kat.
Hey now!
Hello, friends.
Kat, today is the beginning of the countdown to the Thanksgiving long weekend, and I've said it before, I'll say it again, Thanksgiving is one of the best occasions that we celebrate. And here's why. No gifts. It's all about getting together with people that you want to have a meal with, and you get a little extravagant on the meal. Everybody gets full, maybe a little drunk and obnoxious, but whatever. Everybody gets together. No pressure, no expectations. Sometimes you don't even need to get dressed up. You can just wander down to the table in your sweats.
That's right. You know what? There's nothing wrong with Thanksgiving. I don't mind it.
This episode of After 9 is going to be, we got a whole bunch of different things. So we're going to jump back and forth between different topics. I'm going to ask Kat a couple of personal questions, like this one right here.
Okay.
First off, did you have a good weekend? That's not the question.
I did, but it went by so fast.
Right?
Like, so fast.
Let me ask you a question. If Doug came out and said, listen, it's crazy that we're killing ourselves here and nobody has time to do anything, let alone go out and shop, and we need people to go out and support the economy, we're going to move Ontario to a 4-day work week. Would people still find a reason to complain about that? The same way they did with like the liquor and convenience stores and opening up the pot shops and all the other things that they complain about.
For sure.
I don't understand
they
why.
would.
This should be something that all of us are on the same page about.
Yeah.
We should all want to do this. The same money, 4 days a week instead of 5.
Well, the amount of time that we talked about it, and there's been a plenty of times that we talked about it on our show or podcast, a lot of the response we get is, how is it supposed to work with XYZ? But in the world, it's worked with all of these different industries, right? It can work. It's just a matter of putting those, and it would take time. Of course, we all know this. It would take time, but it would be a matter of putting those into motion.
I had a great chat with a school superintendent the other day who's a big fan of After 9.
Great.
And she was asking me about my 4-day work week suggestion for how to solve the teacher crisis by 2027. And I said, yeah, I mean, real simple. The courses that you need your homeroom teacher for, those are going to get done on, say, Monday to Thursday or Tuesday to Friday or Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. 4 days a week, that teacher is going to be with those students doing those things. For the other day a week, a different teacher will take them for whatever other class, gym, art,
yeah, that
music,
could be their health,
library,
art day.
health. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's when they do their assemblies and stuff like that is on day 4. And if every teacher is on that program where all of them are doing a 4-day work week, we would probably solve this shortage in short order, and we would be able to probably save a little bit of money, too. More and more people will just filter out of the system. I think it's a good idea, and when I ran that proposal by her, she doesn't see a few little wrinkles to worry about, but overall, she thought this was a good idea.
Okay.
So now we just need someone who's in a decision-making position to get that done.
That we do.
Let's experiment a little here, Kat. Here's the scenario. You're in your private jet, and you're not a pilot. You just own a private jet. And the pilot has a medical emergency and passes out. What's your first move?
Oh my God, screaming.
Would you?
That's my first move. Mama, no!
No, wake up. It happened to somebody who was flying from Las Vegas to California on Friday. The pilot on the jet passed out. She was the only passenger on board. Now you've got to go to whatever instincts you learned from watching so many movies over the years. Would you even know how to contact air traffic control?
That would be terrifying. I mean, no. I would definitely do my best. I'm not going to sit there. I wouldn't be a sitting duck. You know, like I would definitely try to take action. Yes, I'd try to figure out, I would put on that headset. I assume there's going to be a headset on said passed out pilot. I would put that on my own head and try to see if anyone could help me out. I would definitely go through the motions.
Are you pulling his slumped body out of the chair and sliding into the captain's seat, or are you just going to sit on his limp lap?
No, I would definitely pull he or she off the chair and sit my butt down.
Well, that's how you can tell if they're actually out cold or just faking it. Sit on their lap and see what happens. Let's bring in Octavia here, our producer of the Scott and Kat Show. Octavia, you're on a plane, and the pilot has a medical emergency. He's done. He's out for the count. What would your first move be?
Probably not much. I probably wouldn't really do anything. I'm not very useful.
So the plane's going down and you're just going to sit there and let it happen without putting up a fight?
For at least a couple minutes.
You just pretend like it's not happening?
Well, I just need a minute to collect myself. That's a lot happening to take in.
That's a lot. Yeah.
Let's play a little bit of the transmission between air traffic control and this woman who had to take over flying and landing her own plane on Friday.
Are you with me?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so make sure you add a little bit of power. We got to add power. We're going a little too slow. Make sure you add power. Your altitude is looking good, 5,900 feet. Try to stay level at 6. You're in a right-hand turn. Continue that right-hand turn. We're going to set you up so that as you level off from your turn, you're going to be straight in for Bakersfield Airport. Is that all right?
Okay.
Okay. You
There's
can hear it in her
not a
voice.
chance I would be that calm.
Oh my gosh. I would not. Like, I mean, you could hear the shakiness in her voice, but still to be like, okay. And the person on the other end, good for them, coaching her through. Okay, so what happens next?
Yeah, I know. She
She
landed?
landed?
The plane. Yeah.
Okay, no, it's just making sure that everything was fine.
No.
I assumed that we're not like, she died.
Well, the pilot was actually due for his break, so it was just inconvenient timing.
I wonder if people who do, before we get into like how we would feel in this scenario, I do wonder if the people who have private jets or fly private often at least know what to do in that emergency situation. Like, do you think a Kim Kardashian honestly takes the time to learn from her pilot, whom she has? I assume she has like a full-time pilot at this point.
I would assume.
For her Air Kim. So, for example, a celebrity, but we know there's many people who fly private, business people, rich people, all fly private all the time. Do they take the time to kind of learn the emergency functions just in case that happens? Because I feel like they should.
I feel like it's their plane. And if they go into the cockpit and say, hey, pilot, I'm not a pilot, but I do own the plane. Show me a few things. What should I do if there's ever an emergency? That's one of the first things I would do.
I think so too.
I don't know that the average person would. I mean, I've seen enough movies that if the plane was going down and the pilot was incapacitated, I could probably at least figure out how to radio air traffic control. I don't know how to fly a plane, though. And even if they were walking me through it, like you heard that guy, he was nice and calm and cool and collected. Well, you're coming around right, but you need to increase power. I'd be looking for the power button, and I have a feeling that's not the right button to hit.
What do you mean? What do I do?
Seriously.
Can we FaceTime so you can show me?
The plane is a little banged up. It wasn't the best landing you've ever seen, but she did get back down on the ground safely.
Oh, wow. Imagine, and that's great. I'm so glad it had a happy ending. Thank goodness. It makes me feel like maybe there would be a chance if I was in that position, I could land it safely. But could you imagine the air traffic controller's like, ugh, I didn't know I was going to be training someone today.
This isn't part of my job.
I wanted to get home for Soul Train night and Dancing with the Stars, but I guess I'm staying to coach you.
Oh, yeah. It's Soul Train night on Dancing with the Stars, isn't it? What goes on?
I unfortunately know that. I don't. I'm sorry about that.
Okay, but what is this
don't
like?
Watch it.
25 seasons now. They've got to be out of themes at this point. It's amazing that they're still dragging this show out.
You're
the
right.
dancers aren't even that good. I saw a replay of one of the episodes from last week. So I'm watching it for a few minutes, and I feel like when the show first premiered, they made celebrities good dancers. Athletes tend to be good dancers. Now it's just what's left of the D-list celebrities that have never been on the show, and they're not very good.
They're mostly like reality stars and stuff like that. They're
Yeah.
not, you know what I mean?
Just because you came in 11th on Survivor, does that mean you're a good dancer? I don't know that it does.
Good for you. You got dumped on Netflix or whatever. Or it's actually always ABC because they're very incestual that way.
Well, I shit the bed on Love is Blind, so now I'll do Dancing with the Stars. That Love is Blind show is so popular, by the way. It's
Have you
amazing
seen it?
how many people talk about it.
Have you seen it? Would you? I love Love is Blind.
I don't know what it is. I
You
know
don't
that
know
it's
what
a
it is?
dating show on Netflix. Is that right?
Do you want me to tell you how it works though? I mean, the coolest part is just how it works because it blows up in a lot of people's faces. So you date people without seeing their face. You enter what's called the pods, and you take turns. At first, it's like a ton of people, so a ton of women, a ton of men, and you take turns in each pod talking to the person on the other side of the wall. And right off the bat, just by speaking to someone, you could tell if you jive or not, right?
I think so,
Yeah. So then, based on the first conversation, you ask for a second date from the slew of people. And then you continue to date and date and date until you get engaged after just a few weeks.
Engaged.
It's not even one of these like, and then we're going to take it, then we're going to see each other's faces. It's, we're engaged now. Let's see what my fiance looks like. But here's the thing, Scott. The whole premise is Love is Blind, right? That's the name of the game. It's amazing how many people say, I don't care what they look like. I don't care how tall they are. I don't care if they're big or small. Shit changes real fast when they actually see the person.
How big a change? I mean, you know, as the viewer, what these people look like, right?
Yes, we get to see everything.
And is there ever a scenario where you've got like basically a gorgeous 10 out of 10 woman and a guy
And
who
Shrek.
looks like he just got run over by a car?
Definitely.
Really?
Yes.
And does it ever work? Do they ever think, well, we are in love, and even though you look like a sack of potatoes, I still want to marry you?
Not often, to be honest with you. There's still only like a handful of Love is Blind couples still married that did get married. So after you leave the fiance experience, you go on to a vacation, right? But then that's still not real life. So then they put you in real life. So it carries on a few months out, and then you decide if real life can work for you. But it's amazing how quickly people realize when they're in real world, you know? It's kind of like Bachelor and Bachelorette, where that's not the real world. You're not vacationing on you guys are off work right now. Of course, life is a little better right now. Of course, the vibe's cool. But once you get to work and then you're trying to figure each other out and then you meet parents and then you're like, oh, I have to get along with this person. I don't like that person. Wait a minute, you didn't tell me about this religion, or they don't like that I swear, or they don't like what I do for a living. And that's when the fighting ensues. So not all of them actually make it to say yes. They all have to go to the altar. But then they get turned down at the altar occasionally, or a lot, actually. There's only they reject.
Why do they wait until they're at the altar? You guys couldn't have a quick conference before you went into the church?
That's the whole point. No, you're not supposed to say if you're going to say yes or no until you get to the altar. It's so dramatic. I love it.
Everybody does.
I love it.
I got to get into this show. I think I would like it. People seem to be into it.
It's good.
I got to watch. Florida is gearing up for what could be a massive evacuation, the likes they have not seen in the last 7 years, as Hurricane Milton strengthens over the warm waters of the Gulf of Mexico. For those who don't know, warm water is what makes a hurricane go. When it gets warm water, that's like jet fuel for a hurricane. The water in the Gulf of Mexico is pretty warm right now, and that's why Milton, which is, as of last night, about 1,200 kilometers southwest of Tampa, is now moving faster. And it's now been upgraded to a Category 4 hurricane. They thought
Yikes.
it would hit Florida on Wednesday as a Cat 3. Now it could be a 4, reducing to a 3 after it makes landfall. This is going to be horrible. When you look at the path that it's on right now, it's going to go from the Gulf of Mexico right over Tampa, Florida. Then it's going to go right over Orlando, Florida. And there's a lot of things in Orlando that many children like.
Disney, no, where are you going?
Right?
Yeah. So I hope in watching all the videos from Helene, okay, not long ago, and you see the amount of people that stuck around thinking it would be fine, please tell me people are actually evacuating the areas that are being told you got to get out of here. Please tell me.
Well, it's weird because in the States, they have a different set of liberties than we have here in Canada. Here, mandatory evacuation seems to be mandatory. I mean, I've never been in that situation, but I think back to the most recent one was the wildfires in Jasper.
Mm-hmm.
They were ordering people out of their home and then refusing to let them go back to their home when the fire was out. And apparently it's up to the city to say, you're not allowed to go to your own home even though the fire is out or even though the fire is past our area. It's weird. But in the States, they have mandatory evacuations where it's not really mandatory. Nothing's going to happen if you don't leave. They just ask that you write your name in permanent marker on your arm so they can identify you if things go south.
Oh, they're just, by the way, what an eerie feeling that would be if you had to write your own name on your arm.
Right?
Like,
well, that's when you have.
that's when you know
That's them forcing you to at least acknowledge
that you may be lost in this hurricane.
that this is a dangerous situation, you know?
I just hope that people aren't allowed to put their people they're caring for in jeopardy. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I hope that people can't decide, no, our whole family's staying, and then the whole family dies because you decide you don't think it's a big deal. It's a scary thing, right? I mean, we don't deal with hurricanes a lot here where we are. So I don't know. I've never been in that position, but man.
One of the things that I do like, though, that comes from some of these tragedies is how people support each other. And there's some people who have made the decision, I'm not going anywhere. They can say it's going to be bad. I believe them, but I'm still not leaving. This is my house, and I'll stay with it till the end.
Mm-hmm.
Some of those people are either sending their pets off with people who are evacuating, or they're offering to, what's the word for it? When you look after somebody's pet for them, basically shelter people's pets who are evacuating so that they're not alone in a home that could flood or blow away.
Yeah.
At least they've got a little supervision. So the fact that with a Category 4, just over 24 hours away, they're making arrangements to take care of each other's pets so that no animals get left behind.
Good.
That to me is
I
amazing.
hope everybody does. But you know, not everybody does that. Some people do. Not everyone's doing it, and that makes me sad.
Some people look at animals like a commodity, and I just want to smack the out of them.
I will lose sleep thinking about it, honestly. Like, it's bad. How could you do that?
Couple other things to get to. The Canadian Food Inspection Agency has issued a recall of beef jelly tongue products that were sold in Southern Ontario.
Sorry, what?
I'm getting there. I know what you fixated on.
What now?
I'll come back to it. The agency says more than a dozen brands are covered under there's more than a dozen brands of beef jelly tongue products. They're covered under the recall due to possible listeria contamination with the products sold at stores in the GTA, London, and Kitchener-Waterloo. Anyone who purchased these potentially contaminated meat products is advised to throw them out or return them to where you bought it. Again, it is beef jelly tongue products. What's going on here? What are these people doing?
What is this?
What are they doing?
What is that? No, beef jelly tongue. I'm not kidding. Is this just like a cow tongue? Is this just cow tongue?
Can you Google that for us, Octavia?
I remember. Okay, you just gave me a flashback. There was this huge, and I know you remember it, huge grocery store growing up in Cambridge. It was when I was little. It was called Nob Hill Farms.
Nob Hill Farms.
And they had, in my mind anyway, I was very young, but I remember them having this big butcher case, if you will. And I'll never forget the first time I saw a fucking cow tongue sitting behind the bush. And I went, what is that? And I remember my parents being like, that's a cow tongue. I'm like, people do not eat that. And they're like, oh, yes, they do. I still, like, it makes me sick to my stomach and I can still visualize it. Is that what it is, Octavia? Or is this some type of decadent switch up?
It says it's cooked veal tongue in jelly stuffed in a synthetic casing.
Like a
They're
sausage.
baby fucking cow tongues you're nibbling on? Like, we're disgusting. Like, humans are fucking gross. Why would you do that?
I don't even know anymore.
Is it the same people who eat the fucking chicken claws and shit?
Well, the chicken hearts are popular. I don't know if they're eating the claws per se,
They probably are. I just don't understand.
Well, if you've got some beef jelly tongue products in your fridge and you purchase them around here, you should probably get rid of those, everyone. Hey, you know what? Let's go down this road here before we talk about the cost of life. Not the cost of living, the cost of life. Saturday, big deal in Canada. Lionel Messi and Inter Miami came to play Toronto FC at BMO Field. And sure enough, they sat Messi for the first half. They brought him on in the second half, and Miami went on to win. Toronto FC is now eliminated from playoff contention. They say security was tight because Messi was in town. Parts of the stadium were even cordoned off, which is good planning. But again, multiple people ran on the field trying to get a picture with Messi.
Oh, boy.
And I don't know if you guys follow it or not. Messi, especially when he plays in MLS games, which don't seem to be as well controlled as the international play, he has his own personal bodyguard. This bodyguard sits on the sideline, just like a member of the team. His one and only job is if anybody runs on the field toward Messi, he's got to take him out. Now, sometimes you just get some overzealous, drunk, obnoxious soccer fan who thinks, I'm going to play with Messi. And he runs out there. And this guy will intercept them and then take them out back and beat the shit out of them. That's what I'd like
Just
to think
like
happens.
in the movies.
But sometimes it's a kid. And that's what happened this past Saturday. Kid, and there's no way he did it on his own. His parents put him up to it and allowed him to do it. Kid darts across the field, and Messi's bodyguard was right there. He cut that kid off quick. But then Messi's like, it's all right. Just let him take a photo and then throw him out. He took a picture with the kid, and he usually does. He's a very selfless individual. He understands his popularity and that people want to hang with him and get a picture. But if we allow anybody to do it, we have to allow everybody to do it. And we can't make exceptions for kids. And don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I don't want to see this 6'3", 250-pound bodyguard who runs faster than Usain Bolt. I don't want to see that guy tackle a 7-year-old kid. But somebody's got to do something to discourage running on the field because we can't have this. It's happening at baseball games, football games, soccer games, the whole 9 yards. And we've got to stop it. I don't know when people thought it was okay to run on the field, but it's not.
And you're just opening the door when you allow that, when you say, okay, it's a kid, whatever, you're just opening the door to, like you said, I'm sure there's parents behind it, grandparents, uncles, aunts, whatever, going, yeah, perfect. Oh, they let that kid get away with it. You could do it too. We'll set it up the next time. You know, you can't do it because you're opening Pandora's box and you don't want to do that.
Like, I get that we can't just say, hey, stop doing that. We can't even say, don't run on the field or you'll spend a week in jail. We can't even do that. We can't even put people who shoot other people in jail and keep them there in Ontario. So that's not a deterrent. What's it going to take to get people to stop doing it? And part of the reason I'm asking is because it's not just this. We're hosting a few World Cup games in a couple of years. And if we set the precedent when Messi is playing at BMO for an MLS game, it's going to carry on for the World Cup. And some of those people aren't just fans looking for a picture. Some of them might actually want to harm a player. We can't have this happening. No. It can't be here. But I don't want to tackle a kid. Maybe we have to tackle a kid. Just do it once to prove a point.
But definitely don't let anyone get away with it because, like I said, then it's sending all the wrong signals. Can we not put in like temporary laws? You know, there's like dumb laws that are in effect still in some cities and things like that, and they're silly.
Interesting.
Can't we put in like a temporary law around these kinds of events, knowing full well that this is going to be an issue? Like just for this week only, or 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever it is. Maybe it's an Olympic, maybe it is something like this. You will get jailed for this time. It's only the course of this, at this place, whatever. I mean, it's doable. I don't know if anyone will approve it who has the power to, but we need to do something if they're really concerned about it, because it could turn into an issue. You never know.
Yeah, I see this being a safety issue, and it's a matter of principle, too. Unless you actually made the team, you shouldn't be on the field.
Yeah.
And as much as I love that 6 or 7-year-old that got a picture with Messi, great, once in a lifetime, you did it. It sends the wrong message, and I think the only way to get this fixed is some little kid's going to need to get the shit kicked out of him. I don't know any other way.
Or the parents of the kid.
Maybe that's the better idea.
I don't know.
And why are parents allowing their kids to do it? Go run across the field and take a picture with Lionel Messi. What? That's craziness.
You know sports parents. Is it kind of like that?
Maybe.
Some sports parents are a little nuts. Maybe fanatics. You know what I mean, if you will? Or it could be a little like that too and try to push their kids to doing things that they otherwise would not have or definitely should not have.
It's possible.
I don't know.
By the way, the Leafs are back this week. They have 3 games. Man, they've set up their schedule just set for drama, don't they?
It's rammed later this week.
Yeah. So you got the Leafs on Wednesday. They are playing in Montreal. That should be an easy one. Thursday, right away, up against Sheldon Keefe and the New Jersey Devils. Back-to-back games. They get a day off to fly home. Saturday, they get Pittsburgh at home. Kyle Dubas. They're setting up all the rivalries early in the season. Then they've got till next Wednesday off. It's great. I really wish we could spread it out a little bit.
Yeah, it does. It just seems a little crammy there this week. But that's okay. I know Leafs fans are excited. Back-to-back games sometimes is very exciting, especially when you're starting off a season. So I get it.
Hey, they've been off all off season. They've got the legs for it. Let them go, and let's get some wins here. They got to do something this year.
They have to.
The amount of pressure, unspoken, that's on this team. I know in the past we've said, we've had enough of you Leafs and you're losing and blow it up and trade everybody. They called our bluff. They didn't do anything, and we still supported them. I feel like this year, Austin Matthews in particular, and maybe Mitch Marner too, those 2 guys are really feeling the pressure. Mm-hmm. So I think this is going to be a good year. The new Joker movie really shit the bed this weekend, didn't it?
Yeah. I mean,
I didn't see a single trailer that made me interested in seeing that movie. Not one.
It was so different than the first one is the problem. Like I saw Joker with Joaquin Phoenix and I really liked it. Joaquin Phoenix was so good in it. It was twisted and exactly like you'd expect a Joker movie to be like. So when they even announced that it was going to be a musical take, and I guess that was with the introduction of Lady Gaga, I thought, okay, I know that's going to be a little bit different. And I'm not opposed to Lady Gaga. I loved her in A Star is Born. I think she is a fabulous actor. And Horror Story as well with Ryan Murphy when she did the series. She's so good. But I'm with you where I saw the trailer and I thought, ooh, I don't know if I can get into it. I heard that in the movie, and this is just what I heard from people who saw it, I did not watch it, that she was kind of underutilized actually. Like if you were going to use her and do that, do it 100% or don't do it at all. Because apparently like it was kind of one of those, kind of a letdown, and they could have used her or Todd Phillips, I should say specifically, could have used her a lot more and differently because he had her. But it didn't do that well. $40 million for an opening weekend for it. It was much lower than they wanted. Apparently, to break even, they need about $450 million worldwide. So North America was 40. I think overall it was close to 100 worldwide. So they need to catch up there. And I'm not sure based on reviews if they're going to be able to. Because a lot of the time you go see a movie, if you weren't thinking about it, maybe you change your mind when you hear like, oh my gosh, you got to go see it. It's so amazing, right? I don't know if a lot of people are doing that with this, so I don't know if it will catch up.
It doesn't look that good. I also think that people are broke, first and foremost.
Sure. Yeah, they have to be picky choosy with which ones they go see.
The cost
Right?
of going to the movie, yeah, it's like
Expensive.
deciding, are we going to go for McDonald's or are we going to go to a sit-down restaurant? I mean, it's expensive when you compare
Yeah.
it to staying at home and watching all the entertainment that you're already paying for.
Exactly.
And guaranteed you haven't seen everything on Netflix or Crave. So I totally understand it. Hollywood's in a weird place right now, though, and there's some people who have heard some stuff, and they're just sort of waiting for the other shoe to drop, and I don't know if they're interested in supporting these big blockbusters unless it's going to be that good a movie, and they did a terrible job at marketing this one. It doesn't look good, and now they're going to lose a shit ton of money on that movie.
Yeah.
By the way, on that note, we have a new investigation when it comes to Diddy.
And you know what? We're not shocked. The family of Tupac Shakur hired Alec Baldwin's lawyer that just got him off the manslaughter charge, involuntary manslaughter charge. That guy who knows like everybody in Hollywood. They just hired him to look into whether or not Diddy had ties in Tupac's murder.
That's a fair thing to ask.
Sure.
We all know the rivalry between Tupac and Biggie, and Diddy was squarely in Biggie's corner. Tupac got shot. Murder never really solved. We've heard of a couple of people who are actually on trial right now in Nevada. Are they taking the fall? Or are they going to start singing? I would find it very hard to believe if Diddy was in no way involved with that. Or that crew, anyway.
And if you investigate that, I feel like you have to investigate all the other rumors surrounding Diddy, surrounding Jay-Z for that matter, and what did or didn't happen with Aaliyah. All those things should be if you have the manpower, the ability to do it, and Tupac's family is basically using some of his money from his estate to do this. Let's look at all of it. Do a GoFundMe. There's going to be people that are so curious about it that I might put a few bucks in there too. Go ahead. Let me help you try to figure this out. But he has so many ties in Hollywood that apparently that's one of the reasons why he's like, you know what, I'm here. Clearly he's hearing things is what I'm trying to say. He's so close with so many people in Hollywood. There's no way this prominent lawyer, didn't look into it before he agreed to take the case. And that means he did. And that means he heard things. And he heard enough evidence already in his mind to go, we got to go forward with this because there's no way he's not involved.
I'm surprised R. Kelly hasn't started talking from jail. Unless nobody wants to hear what he has to say. But there's another person who had an interesting connection between Jay-Z and Aaliyah. And we all know what happened to R. Kelly. He's serving a lot of time for very similar accusations than what Diddy is facing right now. I think there's going to be so much more to this story. The fact that they're investigating a possible connection between Diddy and Tupac, that's going to start up a 30-year rivalry again.
Well, and then for that matter, let's look at his buddy Biggie Smalls too. Like, I don't know. Let's just look into everything. Let's just see what we can find here.
First, they have to prove they're both dead. And there's a lot of people who don't believe that that's true either.
Oh, God, that's right.
Before we get to this next part here, I want to let you guys know two things. Number one, we're so busy on the radio show right now. We've got a lot of contests. It's a big time in radio. It's what's called ratings. And we had to bump Missed Connections. So if you tune in for the Monday pod, the replay of Missed Connections, we're just putting it on hold for a couple of weeks. It'll be back probably in November,
November
say, right?
4th, I think it's going to be the first date. Yeah.
We have our contest on called Cash Rally. That's you versus another caller. You could win up to $500. That happens at 8:10. Starting next week, though, we've teamed up with Sunwing Vacations for Scott and Kat's boarding pass. Throughout the show, you're going to hear the Sunwing Jet. When you hear the Jet, you text Sunwing and your name to 1-833-915-SHOW. End of next week. So a week from this Friday, we're going to start announcing names of people who qualified. You get 100 seconds to call us back, or we go on to somebody else. I don't know how long it's going to take to get a winner, but that's not a lot of time, and you got to be listening to hear your name.
And I don't think it's ever been a better chance in terms of the amount of qualifiers versus who's going to win the trip. You've got a really good chance if you qualify for this. If you hear the Jet and you get your name in and you qualify, you have a really good chance of winning.
It is a 1-week, all-inclusive vacation to the beautiful Rio Dunamar Resort and Hotel in Cancun, Mexico. I don't know where that is or what, but it sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's like the northern part, Casa. I can never pronounce it, but it's a beautiful beach. Google it. Look it up. Actually, it's on our website too. If you look up the Energy 95.3 or 91.5 The Beat website, you'll find the details there.
Kat, the annual study by Investopedia has recalculated the amount of money you need to earn in your life to live. We talk about the cost of living, but the cost of living is very much right now. The cost to make it to tomorrow, to the weekend, the end of the month. That's the cost of living. What about the overall cost of life? That's what these researchers decided to do again this year. Last year, they said $3.4 million is how much you need to make in a lifetime to live comfortably. In just a year, it shot up to $4.5 million. An extra $1 million from the last year alone. Here's how it breaks down.
And by the way, listen to this breakdown carefully that Scott's about to do, and you can decide in your mind whether you think some things seem like they're actually a little higher than said or maybe lower. But you might be surprised at how much more money you think these things are if you're anything like we were today.
Retirement. They say you need to retire comfortably to have $1.6 million in retirement assets, whether that be pension, cash on hand, assets that you can sell, $1.6 million. What is that assuming? A retirement at around 60?
I don't know. Is it 65
65?
now?
70?
I feel like it's like so.
When do people retire?
I don't even know.
I'll never be able to afford it anyway.
Never.
I'll be that old guy working at Tim's screwing up your coffee. So $1.6 million to retire comfortably. Owning a home, $930,000 over the course of your life.
And that's not even close.
Not in Southern Ontario.
Not in my mind, that's not even close. We're not even talking about interest. The cost of the house might be close to $1 million if, let's say, on average, you're paying way more in interest. So does that not factor in?
It must, but I'm also thinking they were looking mainly at American numbers because in the States,
Oh, true.
you can still buy a 4-bedroom bungalow for under $200,000 in the States.
I feel like ours is minimal double that.
At least. So I think if you're in the States, 930,000 is about right. I'm going to say $1.5 million if you're in Canada. That's probably how much you'll spend over the course of your life.
Probably more.
It probably is. Raising 2 kids. Let's say you had 2 kids. They say the average cost, $832,000.
What do you think about that? Your kids are older. Do you feel like that's going to be about right by the time you factor in helping them out maybe with weddings or anything else that they'll have in the future?
It's not far off. I mean, when you factor in the cost of all the food you buy them and all the gas you use driving them around places and money you loan them, cars, insurance, all cell phones, all that sort of thing.
All that stuff.
University or college is another one. It all adds up. Factor in the wedding and stuff too. I think that's about right. It's probably about $500,000 you need to have a kid these days.
Yeah.
Each. Owning your new cars over the course of a lifetime, you'll spend about $811,000 on cars. Car payments, buying them out, lease payments, $811,000. That's about right, I think.
I think so too. And for some people, that might be less. But everything balances out. I feel like if you think that seems high for a car, maybe you don't spend that much on a car. Maybe you do spend more elsewhere, right?
I would think so. Yeah, for sure. Annual vacations over the course of a lifetime, $179,000. Again, I think that number's about right if you want to do an annual vacation for a family of 3. About $5,000 each time you go away. Add it up over the course of a life, and that's a lot of money.
Yeah, I feel like it's got to be, maybe even higher than that.
Higher than $179,000, yeah.
Yeah, no, really. Like I just quickly did so let's say you travel with a family. I guess it all depends because you don't always go with a whole family, right? You might just travel alone. You might travel with a partner. But like for me, I can't take my family anywhere without it costing like $10,000. You know what I mean? For a good trip and you're doing things and you have the cost of food and everything associated with it. If you do that 25 times only, that's $250,000 right there.
Couple other things that'll factor in. A big wedding. They'll nail it at about $44,000 all in.
And some people go higher than that. Some people go lower, though. So, yeah, that's a good average, I think.
The cost of pets over the course of your lifetime, $37,000. It's the cost of buying them, taking care of them, veterinarian care, that sort of thing. Paying for your own funeral. They put this in here. Hey, it's nice to do that.
If you can. Yeah, absolutely.
About $8,500. When you add it all up, it's $4.4 million is the cost of life. Not the cost of living, the cost of life.
Of how much it costs to live. Wow.
So add up your paycheck. How long would you have to work to reach the cost of life? Mm-hmm. It's a lot, Kat. Something's got to happen.
It's a lot. Well, I mean, yes, for sure. But not all of those things are necessities. And that's where we find ourselves, is trimming down some of that stuff. Maybe you don't travel. Maybe that's just what you're like, okay, well, I'm not traveling. Maybe you don't have a nice car. And you're like, that's what I'm going to do. Maybe, you don't, your housing situation's not going to be as, as grand as you'd like it to be. And it sucks that we're in that position. But yeah, I feel like a lot of people look at that and probably have to figure out what makes sense for them. Or they're just in extreme debt. There's some people who are just in disgusting amounts of debt.
It'll take them that much just to get out of the debt and get back to zero. One more thing before we go, and we'll go real quick on this because we're already at time. The latest Google Trends report is out. And this time around, they've listed the questions that people ask regarding, is it weird? These are questions that were Googled enough times that Google thought, we got to put this on a list because people are curious. Here's the 5 questions. They all have the same theme. Is it weird to go to a bar alone? Is it weird to talk to yourself? Is it weird to go to a concert alone? Is it weird to go to the movies alone? Is it weird to eat at a restaurant alone? Again, different areas, but same basic theme. Is it weird to do it alone? We're going to bring Octavia in a second to get a different perspective, but I'll go first as a Gen X male. You're going to love it. Stop going out with other people just for the sake of going out with other people. You know who's good for you? You. If you want to do something nice for yourself,
motivational speech. I
you
like
go
it.
out and do it. You've heard the expression treat yourself. One of the best ways you can treat yourself is quiet, peace of mind, no other people, no expectations other than your own. Just go and be alone. I think that you should take at least one vacation alone in your lifetime. I like sitting alone at a bar. If I drive by a nice looking pub and I see a sign outside that says happy hour, I'll pop in and have a pint and just people watch. It's a great thing to do. You're alone. Scroll through your phone. If somebody wants to chat, you can talk or just go back to your phone. It gives you the ultimate flexibility. Concert alone? I mean, I'm there to watch the act, not to talk to the person I came with, so I would be okay with that. Movies? Even better. We're not supposed to talk anyway. Go alone on your schedule. Dining at a restaurant alone? Screw what other people think. We should normalize that. There should be a lot more tables for one out there.
It, by the way, always used to be a thing that we had to be cautious of. I remember in the restaurant industry, it's like you never just say, are you waiting for someone else? You don't assume. You always just, instead you say, is it yourself today? Like instead of trying to make them feel like a piece of shit or something, like nobody coming along with you today.
Nobody
like,
wanted to be with you,
You're not supposed to point those things out, right? But I've never dined alone. I have never sat down in a dining room and ate alone.
Could you?
Could I? Sure.
So right now, as we record, it's coming up on 11 a.m. And I know that Moose Winooski's over there opens up at noon. Could you say, you know what? I feel like some wings, and I don't really feel like going home yet. I'm just going to go sit over there and grab a table and have a pound of wings and maybe drink a beer and watch some sports highlights.
I wouldn't do it just to do it. It would be one of those, like, if I was traveling alone for some reason, that's a maybe, but I don't think I could get more behind, like, going to the movies by myself. That sounds totally fine with me. Totally fine with me. I'll do that. But dining, I've never done it.
Octavia, what do people your age think of this? Do you think that you could do any of those things alone and be happy?
I think some of them, because there's some things you would rather do by yourself than do with someone who's just going to shit on it the whole time.
Okay.
So, like, if you go to a show and the person you're with really isn't interested, you'd rather go alone, because why would I want somebody there that's just going to drag me down? As for going out to eat or something, I don't see myself doing that alone. I would do other things alone before that.
So let's say you had to fly out to Calgary for
the show.
Meeting. Yeah, a show meeting in Calgary. and you've got an option. You know, you're staying at the airport Marriott. You can go down and sit in the lounge, which is a nice lounge, by the way, at that particular hotel. Don't ask me how I know that, but I'll tell you.
Okay.
You can go and sit down there and have a meal and do whatever you want, enjoy the sights. Or you can go down and grab your food and take it up to the room. You would take it up to the room and eat alone there as opposed to eating alone in the dining room?
Probably, and then maybe I'd go for like a little wander by myself afterwards and just kind of take it in. I don't know. I don't want to sit with myself for that
Really?
long, I guess. I don't know.
Are you afraid you'll get in your head? What is the problem? Why can't you be alone?
Well, it's not that I can't be alone. It's just that I'd rather be active a little bit more than just, I don't know. When you eat, it's something you want to talk to somebody. You want to debrief, whatever. If I'm wandering around, taking in the sights, I can, think my own things. I don't have to have somebody there. I don't know.
What about you, Kat? If you were traveling on business, would you be the person who goes down to the restaurant and eats at the hotel, or are you grabbing it and taking it back up?
I think I'm more likely to take it back up to the room.
You want to eat alone?
I
huh?
think I'm just more likely to do it because I feel like, are people going to stare at me while I'm eating by myself? Are people going to approach me and want to talk to me? Like, if I don't feel like talking to someone, I don't want to come off as a bitch. You know what I mean? Like, I
Right.
just want to eat my food and then go back to the room. But that kind of eliminates me having to have that awkward moment, right?
Is that the alone woman in a restaurant is very easy to approach?
Well, and I mean, you mentioned the bar thing. Like, sure, I would be cool with that, but I feel like I'd open myself up more. And I think women in general would open ourselves up more to conversation that we don't necessarily want. We're just there to try to have a drink and then that's it, right? Because it kind of has a stigma of sorts. It does.
Got it. Yeah,
Which it shouldn't. And don't get me wrong, please, I hope that a lot of women feel confident enough to do it. But I don't, because like I said, I don't want to feel like a bad person to be like, can you not talk to me? Like, I'm not here for that. Like, then I feel bad.
By the way, Google did answer all of those questions. They say, no, it is not weird to go to a bar alone. Plenty of people do it. I'd love to hear from some regular business travelers. I'm pretty sure that you guys have got this figured out. Places to go, how you handle yourself. If you want to go down to the lounge for a drink, it'd be great to hear about that. Is it weird to go to a concert alone? They say go for it. Maybe you'll meet new people with shared interests. Is it weird to go to the movies alone? Now that we have so much to stream, it might be less common, but they say plenty of people still go to the movies alone. Weird to eat at a restaurant alone? No. They say there's a stigma, but you should still do it. And the last one, is it weird to talk to yourself? That one, they say it depends. In public at full volume? Yeah, that's weird. Otherwise, no, we all do it.
Good. I remember reading someone that studied that and said it was extremely healthy to talk to yourself. I'm like, thank God, because I do it often. I like that though. I try not to do that in public.
So I was very sensitive about it because I lived alone briefly for a while there. And now I live with my girlfriend. And I kind of got into the habit of talking to myself when I was alone. It was the pandemic and I lived alone. So yeah, there was some talking to myself. I still do it, but I like the fact that she's embraced that I do it and doesn't even bother questioning
Doesn't even
it
ask
anymore.
you, what'd you just say?
No, she knows I'm talking to me and I've got a plan and in my head it all makes sense and she leaves it. But I do the same for her too. We all should. If you catch somebody talking to themselves, just let it go.
Just leave them.
And on that, we'll say have a great day, everybody. Fun one today. We will be back tomorrow with another After 9. We'll talk a little more about the tea giving as we get a little closer to the weekend. Mm-hmm. We don't need to shorten Thanksgiving. We can just say Thanksgiving, right? The tea giving, we didn't say.
I don't think it was necessary.
You don't think that'll
no.
catch on?
No. I'm happy for both of us, though, because we found out this morning that neither one of us are hosting any of these functions.
I got it.
I'm good with that.
So-
Hey, wait, is Octavia hosting anything in her new house?
Oh,
She
you
is!
are!
Oh, no!
Oh, shit.
Sorry.
You're just telling us this now?
I'm hosting. It's my boyfriend's family. We're hosting Thanksgiving.
Okay, let's
so-
bring her in on the pod again either tomorrow or Wednesday, whatever works with her schedule, because I know she's busy as well. Can we talk about this and see how you're feeling? This is going to be your first big event.
hosting.
Yeah.
And it's the
I
in-laws,
can't
too.
wait. That's coming up this week on the pod.
A woman in Italy has set a new world record for having the world's thickest tongue. Reached for comment, the woman said,
Richard Branson has launched a new free online university for people with dyslexia. You can check it out at www.wdyslexiacom.com.
In honor of Jimmy Carter's 100th birthday, more than 4,000 children around the country sent him hand-drawn cards bearing messages like, "Who are you?" and "My mom made me do this."